Hey everyone, welcome back. Ever feel like you're just swimming through corporate training, but not really sure if it's actually sticking? Or like if you're really learning, you're
Yeah.
not alone. It happens. And that's why we're diving deep today
Yeah.
into making sure your training actually works.
Right.
Whether you're the one designing it, taking it, or just kind of curious
Yeah.
about, if it's worth the time, the money, the energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our guide today is Chapter 8 of The Business of Learning
Okay.
by David L. Vance.
Yeah.
And it's all about measuring and evaluating training effectiveness.
That's right.
And we're not just going to get all theoretical here. We're going to uncover some real practical insights
Yeah.
to help figure out if your training is hitting the mark or
Yeah.
just totally missing it.
Missing the mark completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so fascinating how often organizations spend so much on training, but then they don't really know if they're getting a return on that investment. Measurement and evaluation are crucial. And it's not just about like checking boxes. It's about really understanding the impact.
Exactly. So like imagine this. You can show that your training is boosting performance,
Yeah.
customer satisfaction, or even
Oh, yeah.
leading to more revenue.
The holy grail.
Right.
The bottom line.
That's powerful stuff.
It is.
And all thanks to using data.
Yeah, data-driven training is essential for demonstrating the value of learning
For sure.
and also for getting buy-in and securing resources.
Oh, yeah. So it's not just about like, feeling good about the training.
Yeah,
It's about showing that it's actually making a difference.
exactly. And it ensures that your training programs are actually aligning with those bigger business goals,
Absolutely.
which is critical.
Yeah, for sure. It's like having that roadmap,
Yeah,
making sure your training is going in the right direction.
that's a great analogy.
But okay, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Sometimes those little surveys you get after training,
Oh, yeah.
they're kind of like,
Superficial.
yeah, like, did you like the trainer? Were the
Yeah.
snacks good?
The snacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Those are the famous happy sheets, but
Right.
they're just scratching the surface. We need to go deeper. And to do that, we need a more robust framework.
Okay.
And that's where Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation come in. It's like, oh, yeah, I've heard of this, Kirkpatrick.
Like climbing a mountain,
Okay.
each level represents a higher altitude with more challenging
Uh-huh.
but rewarding views. So you got to climb to get that full picture.
Okay. So like level 1, base camp.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's reaction. It's basically about gauging those initial responses to the training.
Okay.
Did people find it engaging? Was the content relevant? It's the foundation.
So those happy sheets, they have their place,
They do. They do.
but they're just the start.
Exactly. Then we ascend to the next level,
Okay.
which is learning.
Okay.
And this focuses on whether the participants actually acquired the knowledge
Okay.
or skills that were intended. Think of things like quizzes or tests or even those hands-on simulations.
So it's like,
Did they actually learn it?
yeah, did they absorb the knowledge during that climb?
Got it. But what about those skills that are harder to measure?
Yeah,
Like you can't just give a quiz on it.
absolutely.
How do we know if they're really applying it?
Well, that's where the climb gets a little steeper.
Okay.
And that leads us to level 3 behavior. This is where we observe if those participants
Okay.
are actually applying their new knowledge and skills on the job.
Right. So they're taking what they learned and actually using it
Exactly.
in their work.
Yeah, they're navigating that challenging terrain of real-world application.
Oh, I like that.
It's not just about knowing the theory, it's about putting it into practice.
Exactly. Okay. So we've climbed 3 levels. We're almost there.
We're almost at the summit.
What's at the top?
At the top is the most challenging, but also the most rewarding level, and that is results.
Okay.
This is where we measure the actual impact of the training.
Right. So it's not just
Yeah.
did they learn it? It's like, did this training actually make a difference?
For the business?
Yeah.
Exactly. Think increased sales, improved productivity, fewer errors.
Right.
Proof that you've reached the summit and got those tangible benefits.
That's the goal.
It is.
But connecting a training program to
Yeah.
a boost in revenue,
Yeah.
that can be hard.
It can be.
It's almost like finding a needle in a haystack.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But there are methods that help us disentangle those connections.
Okay.
And the source material talks about the Phillips ROI methodology,
Okay.
which adds a 5th level to Kirkpatrick's model,
Oh, wow.
specifically focused on ROI.
So they're taking it a step further.
Yeah, they're adding another layer.
Okay.
So with the Phillips ROI methodology,
Yeah.
you first identify the costs of the training,
Okay.
which includes things like development materials, participant time, and then you measure the benefits.
Got it. So costs and benefits.
Exactly.
But I imagine some of those benefits are harder to measure than others.
That's true. Some of the benefits are tangible, like an increase in sales.
Right. But some are intangible, like improved morale.
Yeah, like how do you put a number on morale?
Right.
That's tricky.
It's harder to quantify. So let's say you're implementing a sales training program.
Yeah.
To calculate the tangible ROI, you'd compare the cost of the program to the increase in sales that were generated by the newly trained team.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you're looking at those hard numbers.
Right. But what about those less tangible things? Like how do you factor morale into the ROI?
That's where you have to get a little more creative. The Phillips ROI methodology acknowledges those less tangible benefits and encourages finding ways to estimate their impact. So you might look at things like employee retention rates or even survey data on employee satisfaction after the training.
So you're still using data,
yeah,
but it's a different kind of data.
It's qualitative data.
Yeah.
And you might gather this through interviews or focus groups.
Oh, interesting.
To really understand how the training has impacted things like teamwork or communication.
So it's about looking at the whole picture,
yeah,
not just the numbers.
Exactly. And then by assigning even an estimated monetary value to those benefits, you can create a more holistic ROI calculation that reflects the true value.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's about seeing the full impact.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about the different levels of evaluation. We've talked about ROI. But let's step back for a second and talk about some of the challenges.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it can't all be easy.
No, it's not always smooth sailing.
What are some of the hurdles that people face when they're trying to measure training effectiveness?
Yeah. I mean, it can be tough, right? Like,
it can be.
It's not always super clear cut.
No, it's not always a walk in the park.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges that's mentioned in the source material is the difficulty of measuring behavior and results, especially when there's so many other things going on. It's almost like trying to track a single raindrop through a waterfall.
There's a lot of noise, and it can be hard to isolate the impact of that one drop.
That's a great analogy.
So we need to have other ways to figure out if it's working.
So how do we even start to separate those things out?
Well, one of the keys is to move beyond just relying on those post-training surveys.
Okay.
We need a whole toolkit of evaluation methods, including things like observations performance data, maybe even 360-degree feedback.
So it's about gathering information from all these different places.
From multiple sources.
Yeah.
To see if the results align.
Yeah. Kind of like a detective. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Putting together all the clues.
Piecing together the puzzle.
Right.
But another hurdle that a lot of organizations face is a lack of resources.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, not every company has a team of data analysts.
Yeah.
Or a huge budget dedicated just to evaluation.
So if you're working with a smaller budget, limited resources.
Yeah. Do you just have to give up on measuring?
No, not at all. The key here is to be strategic. Focus on the programs that are really going to move the needle. The ones that are tied to those key business goals.
So the high priority stuff.
Exactly. The things that are going to make a difference.
Right.
And even if you've got limited resources, there are practical tools and techniques that you can use to streamline data collection and analysis. The source material mentions how important technology is.
Yes. Let's talk about the tech.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned before, like learning management systems and dashboards. How can those help us?
Well, think of an LMS like that central hub for all things training.
Right.
It can track course completion rates, assessment scores. Even how much time people are spending on specific modules.
Oh, interesting.
And then all that data can be pulled into a dashboard.
Right.
That gives you a visual representation.
Yeah. So instead of just looking at a massive spreadsheet. Yeah, those spreadsheets can be overwhelming.
You can get a nice, clear visual.
Yeah, exactly. A much clearer picture.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
But remember, technology is just a tool. The real power is being able to interpret that data and translate it into something that you can actually use.
Right. Actionable insights.
Exactly. That's where those best practices that we talked about come in.
Yeah. Let's recap those.
Okay.
So aligning metrics with business goals. What else?
Involving stakeholders from the very beginning is super important.
Okay.
This makes sure that everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
About what the training objectives are.
Okay.
And how you're going to measure success.
It's like if you're building a house, You want the architect, the builder, people who are going to live there, all on the same page before you start.
Before you lay that foundation.
Okay.
And remember to communicate the results clearly.
Yeah.
Don't just bury the data in a report that nobody reads. Share your findings. Explain what they mean.
Yeah.
Highlight the value.
Make it a story.
Yeah.
That people can understand.
Data without a narrative is like a map without a destination.
Exactly. And then the last one was about?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to iterate.
Okay.
Use the data that you're getting to improve.
So it's not just like, we did the training, we checked the box, we're done.
No, it's an ongoing process.
Right.
It's about continuous improvement.
Right.
Using data to inform your decisions.
Yeah. This has been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
Like, I've learned a lot about the importance of measuring training effectiveness.
That's powerful stuff.
But the source material focuses on corporate training.
Yeah.
How can we apply these principles to our personal learning goals?
That's a fantastic question. And I actually think these principles are even more important when it comes to our own learning journeys. Because we're always getting all this information, all these opportunities.
It's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah. Right. But how often do we actually step back and evaluate what we've really gained?
Right. And like, if it's making a difference.
Is it impacting our lives? Exactly.
Yeah. It's easy to just like jump from one thing to the next.
The next shiny object.
Right.
Without really thinking about.
Yeah, what we've learned?
Yeah, what we've learned.
So how do we apply those principles to our personal learning?
Well, it starts with defining those clear goals. What do you want to learn?
Okay.
Why is this important to you?
Okay.
What does success actually look like?
So just like in the corporate world, we need a clear objective.
Yeah, exactly.
Vision.
A vision.
Okay.
And then think about how you're going to measure your progress. Are there specific milestones that you can track?
Okay.
Can you create like a self-assessment to check your learning?
Oh, yeah.
You can even apply Kirkpatrick's levels to your own personal goals.
Oh, wow.
Ask yourself, are you enjoying this learning experience? Are you acquiring new knowledge or skills? Are you changing your behavior based on what you're learning?
Yeah.
And is this learning actually having a positive impact on your life?
Wow. That's like a whole personal learning dashboard.
It is. It's a way to make sure that you're on the right track.
Okay.
That you're actually moving in the right direction.
And even if you're not measuring things in like dollars and cents, you can still look at the return on your investment.
Absolutely.
In terms of your time, your effort, the value you're getting.
Exactly.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. It's about making sure that what you're learning is actually beneficial.
Yeah. This has been so insightful.
It has been.
I feel like we've given our listeners some great tools.
Yeah.
Not just for evaluating training programs.
Yeah.
But for their own personal growth as well.
Absolutely.
So it's a win-win.
It is a win-win. It's about making the most of those learning experiences.
Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap things up, I have one final thought-provoking question for everyone listening. We've talked about measuring the impact of training on individuals, on organizations. But what about the bigger picture? How can we measure the impact of learning on society?
That's a great question.
Like, what role does lifelong learning play in making the world a better place?
That's a really interesting question. It makes you think about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know, if we believe that learning can transform people and companies, it makes sense to think about how it shapes the whole world.
Yeah. It's like that whole concept of a learning society
where
everyone's always learning.
Exactly. Where learning is just a part of life. It's not just something you do in school or at work.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's in community workshops, online courses, mentoring, even just casual conversations.
Right. It's about that love of learning.
Yeah, that curiosity.
Just that desire to know more.
And when people are lifelong learners, they become better citizens. They can solve problems, they can adapt to change, they can contribute more.
Right. And they're more informed.
Exactly.
It's like investing in everyone, making society stronger.
And think about all the challenges we're facing right now. Climate change, inequality, technology advancing so quickly.
Right.
We need people who can adapt and think critically.
Lifelong learning is essential.
It is. It's not a luxury anymore.
It's how we survive.
And while it's tough to measure the exact impact of learning on society, we can see its influence all around us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like online education is huge now.
Oh, yeah.
Citizen science projects are growing.
Right.
People are always looking for ways to develop new skills.
Absolutely. And technology is just going to create even more opportunities.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is.
But we also have to recognize that not everyone has the same access to those opportunities.
That's a really important point. There are still barriers based on where you live, your income, your digital literacy.
Yeah. And that's something we need to address.
Absolutely. We need to create a system where everyone has the chance to learn.
Right. It's not just about access to information.
Right.
It's about having the support and the resources.
Yeah, the motivation.
To really learn.
We need to build a more inclusive system.
Where everyone can reach their potential.
That's a great way to put it.
This has been such a great conversation.
It has.
This really made me think about learning in a whole new way.
Me too.
And I hope our listeners feel the same way.
I hope so. I encourage everyone to keep learning. Keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Keep pushing the boundaries.
That's what we're all about here on The Deep Dive.
That's right.
So until next time.
Yeah.
Keep those minds curious.
Stay curious.
And keep on learning.
We'll see you soon.